After what was, is, and continues to be an extremely long day, we finally got a chance to get a clean-ish walk around of this, the all-new B6E. Yes, that is exactly how it's pronounced. And it's one of two brand new born electric Mahindra SUVs that have just been introduced, although not technically launched. That is something that we're going to be seeing towards the end of January, with deliveries towards the end of February or end March 2025 for both of these vehicles. The second one, of course, being the Mahindra XEV9E. But right now, this video is going to focus on this, my personal pick of the two, just because of how bratish, how daring, and how interesting this particular car is. Now, both these SUVs are based on Mahindra's new pure electric in-glow platform. They have the same wheelbase of 2775 millimeters. They have a lot of the features in common as well as the powertrain options. And what you'll find as a core difference besides the features is in the kind of personality that you're getting with both these cars. So first of all, the cars are fully capable of delivering an all-wheel drive powertrain, but at the moment they have been showcased only in their rear-wheel drive form. Irrespective of what battery pack you pick, you will be getting the same power output of just about 285 horsepower and 380 Newton meters of torque, which makes these SUVs fast as a word I can't say on YouTube because I don't want to get demonetized. But yeah, that equates to a 0 to 100 time of under 7 seconds. So it doesn't just look like something that's going to go fast, it is. Now, on the topic of the battery packs, you have two main options. There is a 59, call it 60 kilowatt hour option, which is going to be your option in the entry level variants, along with a 79 or 80 kilowatt hour battery pack that you get in the higher variants. Now, the claim numbers that we receive for the battery pack specific with either one of these cars, they are sitting somewhere around 500 to 550 kilometers in the real world with the larger battery pack. And it will be probably somewhere around 400 to 450 with the smaller battery pack. The interesting bit though is that Mahindra is offering a lifetime warranty for the first purchase of either one of these cars when it comes to the battery pack, and that is only applicable to private vehicle owners. But the deal does get sweeter because if you happen to sell this vehicle, even the second owner is going to get a 10-year or 2 lakh kilometer battery warranty applicable from the first date of delivery. And now that he's given you a good look at the rear and probably put the argument to rest as to which car is actually the Desi Urus, Nabil, why don't you join me up front? So let's start off with this. The keys that Alfred handed to Batman, as it would seem. So you have the lock button, the unlock button, the power tailgate operation, along with the climate control toggle switch right here. And there's a little party trick with this key that we'll also get to know once we move inside. But now that we are on the front end, just take a look at it. Mahindra promised and they delivered it, right? They said that this was a concept car with the B05, and the B6E looks almost exactly like the concept car was. And just to remind you, pinch yourself, this is not a concept car. This is a proper production vehicle, the kind you're going to be buying fresh out of the showrooms. So this is the really distinctive looking LED light signature along with these LED headlights. They also have a booster function that activates upwards of speeds of around 80 kilometers per hour. And since we are over here, let me just switch on the hazard lights for you. And spoiler alert, got it. So you have these dynamic turn indicators that are integrated up front. Lower down, you'll spot the sensors for the front parking sensors. And yes, it does come with multiple cameras, not only for the surround view camera function, but also for the ADAS, which includes multiple sensors and one front camera. From that, we move to the side profile. Now I'm going to move towards the rear just to give you an idea of what it looks like towards the side. So yeah, the wheelbase is common with the XUV9E, rather the XEV9E. So that's around 2775 millimeters. But the overall length is somewhere around 4.3 meters, 4371 to be precise. But yeah, if you're talking about outright road presence in terms of the size of the vehicle, you are looking at something in the same territory as your compact SUVs, Grand Vitara, Creta, Seltos, in that space, but with a significantly more distinctive design. That also extends into these wheels. Now you do have the option of getting these 20-inch wheels. Lower down, you'll find 19-inch alloy wheels. Of course, they have been aero styled to optimize range as far as possible. And if you go in towards the lower variant or lower pack, as it were, which is kind of a giveaway with what you see here, 3 is what they correlate to the pack. So the variants that they have are pack 1, pack 2, pack 3, which is why you see pack 3 over here, which is of course the fully loaded model. But even if you look at one of the lower models, they do come plenty loaded, right? Over to the side profile, continuing along, you have this edgy style for the wing mirrors. Then you have this pull type door handle. The flap, again, I am not the biggest fan of this from a functional perspective, because especially in the monsoons, they do get a little bit tricky to use, can get your palms a little bit sweaty or messy even. But the more interesting bit is how you operate the rear door. So there's a little button that you'll spot in here. So you tuck in your finger, pull this along, and it's a great function to confuse any valet at any hotel. Apologies again for the horn, it's something that's going to be featuring a lot in today's video. And interestingly, while you do have this gloss back finish along the side as well as the rear, one thing to note is these kind of bits are kind of prone to elements like grit or stone chips. So probably if you do get something like the B6E, you might want to get at least these bits PPF'd. Now moving to the rear. Like we've seen in the Urus or the proverbial Desi Urus, the Tata Curve, you have these very cool dual spoilers above the rear windscreen. As you might imagine, it doesn't make for the greatest viewing out from the rear, but it definitely looks cool as hell. And then once we come towards the rear end, you'll see the model badging along with Mahindra's new insignia. And like we've seen at the front, the dynamic turn indicators are integrated up top along with the taillight signature towards the rear. So definitely making this look like a lot more thoroughbred, a Desi Urus, if I may say so. I do apologize if I'm using that terminology too often. But lower down, you spot this diffuser-like element, kind of similar to what we've seen in some people when they modify their car to look like it has that F1 regenerative flashing light. And the power tailgate function, this car may have been just drained a little bit, but it does have the power tailgate function. We'll open up the boot space. Now, honestly speaking, it is a slightly shallow boot. So if you put in one full-size suitcase, this is more or less going to get used up. Yes, you can remove the parcel tray to fit in something up top, but of course that is going to eat into your rear view visibility further. And below this, you have a space saver spare tire. Now it's time to move inside. And if you thought there were a lot of party tricks on the outside, wait till you check out this car from the inside. So first of all, you have this door strap in place of the traditional door handle. Very Porsche 911 GT2 RS, and definitely extremely unique from the perspective of a Mahindra. Definitely a great way of integrating this, because it does look like something that would be form over function, but actually it does work quite well. And the driver's seat, you do get power adjustment along with these memory settings. And yes, both the seats do get front seat ventilation as well. Now what I'll do is I'll ask Nabil to hop into the rear seat to give you guys a better look at the interior. On the inside, the B6E is all about delivering maximum drama. Honestly, Mahindra's designers have had a field day at indulging their inner child, and I am all for it. All along the cabin, you'll see these cool highlights that definitely continue to remind you of elements that you traditionally expect in some kind of super SUV or performance SUV. And it just looks so sporty and unique. So let's start off with one of the bits that would usually go by the wayside. That is the heads-up display. I'll actually borrow the camera from Nabil to give you guys a better idea of what the visibility is looking like. So if you can see this bit right here, that is where you have the displays for the heads-up display. So it's not the traditional type that you usually see in this segment where you have a flip-out type display. It's displayed right on your windscreen, so you can have the ADAS information, driving information, speed, all that stuff displayed up top over there. So the integration is definitely done quite tastefully. And then you have this all digital cockpit. I'll hand it back to Nabil. So you have these dual screens in the B6E. In the XCV9E, you do get a triple screen display. That's one that's included for the front passenger as well. But honestly, that feels like something that's a bit extra, not something you necessarily need. So this is a new interface of this roughly 14-inch display right here. So the touchscreen does include a long list of features, including Android Auto and Apple CarPlay that are supported wirelessly. So let's give you a run through of all these. You have the surround view camera that has been integrated. Interestingly, not only do you get a decent resolution, but this thing also comes with what many people would know or remember as Sentry mode in Tesla vehicles. So even when the car is parked, I believe this touchscreen comes with onboard storage of roughly 128 GB and 24 gigs of RAM. So when the car is parked, on the off chance that somebody messes around with your vehicle, you have some kids or miscreants who might scratch the car is actually in surveillance mode even when it's parked. So that's definitely something that's very, very handy. So aside from the safety when you are driving, you also get the added benefit when you're not around. Definitely a feature I could have used when I had that miscreant come and slash my tire. You also have this multicolor ambient lighting system. So the ambient lighting is You can choose from green, yellow, red, a combination, purple, somewhere in between. And you also have these animations that come along with them. So if I select wave, that program is going to be activating not only on what you see around here, which is definitely very cool because you have your own sort of driver's personalized zone, especially with the kind of shape that you have for the center console. Kind of reminds me of the Hyundai Kona. Something similar they had in the display. Of course, that bit was filled up with buttons, but here it's kind of empty, so you have more space to, move about a little bit. So the ambient lighting is integrated here. You will find it in the door pockets as well towards the side. And interestingly, you'll also see it up top. So I'm not sure the camera can capture it right now, but the pulsating program that you're seeing, I'll move it to impulse. So you can see that change about. Definitely something you'll appreciate more when you don't have a lighting setup like this. That's obviously taking a lot of the fun out of it. But a couple of animations, loads of color options, and this particular roof, it is a panoramic glass roof, but it is not openable. And personally speaking, I feel like that makes a lot more sense, especially in the Indian context. Then we continue fiddling with the touchscreens systems, and that also includes a special feature that is going to be a selfie. Actually, it's one of two special features. So you have the selfie camera here. You can pop open the sunroof once again just to get some better light here. So pretty good resolution, as you can see. And if we just capture this image right here, you can take a snap. It will be stored onto the onboard storage itself. I believe in the XEV 9e, you can also use this for functions like Zoom calls and all. It's a nice novelty thing to have, but honestly speaking, if you want to do something like watching videos and all, would you not rather just do it on your iPad or phone? Let me know what you think. It's a nice feature to have. I'm not complaining. It's more a gimmick or something that you'll necessarily need to be using. And the other feature, Nabil, unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask you to step out of the vehicle when I do this, just to give the people an idea of what it's like. But you have the Groove Me function. Remember when I mentioned something about Tesla and the whole animation thing? Well, they've definitely taken some kind of inspiration over here as well. So once I tap Groove Me, enjoy the show with lights and music. I'm going to have to be quick with the mute button because I don't want to get a copyright on this video. So I'll hit start show, 9 seconds. So Nabil, stay with me. So this right now is corresponding to music that is on board with the car itself. And these sounds, roughly 70 of the sounds have been co-developed with A.R. Rahman's inputs. So a lot of these light functions are going to coordinate with a lot of famous songs sung by that absolutely brilliant artist. So the light function you'll see over here, you'll see the mirrors doing a little bit of a fold in and fold out. You'll also see that with the flap type door handles. And Nabil, now if you can step out, you can show the ladies and gentlemen what it does on the outside as well. Try and make sure your kids don't overuse this feature, or on the off chance that you do go into the showroom itself, trust me, when they see this feature, you're going to have a very difficult time convincing them to buy anything else. And yes, like many of the other features that we've seen, both this as well as the XEV 9e will feature this exact process or program rather. Is that not incredibly cool? And backing up that, of course, is a 16-speaker Harman Kardon sound system with Dolby Atmos integrated. They've really put in some great effort for that, but unfortunately for me to show you what kind of music is there, one, it doesn't make sense because how would you understand the speaker usage on your speaker? It's a different input altogether. And of course, there is that ever-present issue of a copyright. But since I was talking about, this car making you feel like a kid again, besides everything else, look at this! Look at this! You have fighter jet style toggle switches right here. So you have this for the corresponding switches for the light if you want it to correspond to the door locks or not once you pop it open. You have this for the power tailgate. You have this for the hazard light. You have this for the auto park function. So it can do both angular as well as series parking by itself by detecting. And you can also drag and drop and get the car to fit into a parking space that you can see the car may not necessarily recognize. That is a feature that we'll have to explore at a later stage once we get the chance to drive this car properly. And of course, once you switch on this button right here, you can open up the 360-degree camera. That aside, you do have two wireless phone chargers up front. There is a push button start, although it's not your typical button, it's more like a haptic feedback button rather. And you have these toggle switches right here for a lot of shortcuts. So the car settings can come through here. So you have these different drive modes. There's everyday, that's technically city mode. There's range that you can figure out, it's like eco mode. And there is a race, that is of course when you want to get the full bore, full roar of all the performance that this car has to offer. And since I had mentioned that there was a party trick with the key, this is not just a regular storage area, it's magnetic. So it sticks in place and even integrates into that bit quite beautifully. Besides that, you have the home button right here, you have the climate control switches as well, and you have this right here to control bits like the volume. Not a traditional toggle as such, but definitely a handy feature. And if you do want to do it, you just press this and switch this around. And again, I have to avoid the top copyright, so I can't show you that. Then if we move to this bit right here, in fact, I should talk about this first. What I don't like about this is this itself. I mean, yeah, I know that you're trying to give the toy-like experience, but the quality of this gear selectors, this needs to be something metallic or at least something more solid. Right now, because I'm assuming these cars are pre-production, there's definitely something that can improve on this front. So you have the park button right here. You have these plus and minus switches over on this side for the regen modes themselves. Pardon me. So those two buttons are for the regen. You'll see similar controls right here for the regen. And right now, because the car is not in motion, you'll see this little warning right there. So you have the plus and minus for that. You have this for the single pedal mode. And you have this for the boost function to give you that extra bit of, as Mahindra themselves, Vijay Nakra from Mahindra, one of the top bosses at Mahindra, described the NOS or nitrous oxide like function. You have these switches right here to go through the digital instrument cluster. And if you run through it, you'll see a long list of ADAS features. So besides the usual AEB, lane assist, adaptive cruise control, and all those features, what's unique here is the ADAS suite also includes the lane switch and follow. So let's say you're following a car that's ahead of you, you switch the indicator, it will not only give you the ability to shift without some kind of input on the lane assist from the steering itself, but it can make the overtake in itself by switching to the next lane by itself. It can detect a safe enough sort of condition being met over there, because it does have the camera as well as the radars to help with that function. Again, something that we're going to comment on once we have a chance to experience this in the real world in thorough enough conditions. I always maintain ADAS is a nice to have features, but honestly, Indian conditions do make it quite difficult to manage getting the best usability. So now what I'm going to do is, since we've got a good enough taster of the interior, I should talk about the quality and materials in here. So it's largely smooth finished plastic. So while you will see different textures all around, it's generally a great place to be in. Like they have this little bit of leatherette padding over here. Arun felt that they could have gone with more colorful options. Personally, I feel like these more subdued or sedate options work a lot better with a car of this kind of design. It just does look a little bit more battle ready, a little bit naughty, if I may say so. Smooth finished plastics over here, a little bit more leatherette padding over here. The seats themselves are a combination of both fabric on this bit and leatherette around here. Definitely a great place to be in, and it's a good combination of fancy design as well as respectably rather premium interiors. Now what I'm going to do is hop outside and ask Nabil to set up the driving position as per his setting, just to give you an idea of what kind of cabin space you can get here. So while he does that, I'll give you an idea. So they say that this particular battery pack, the larger one, 20 to 80%, it can hit with a 175 kilowatt charger in about 20 minutes. 175 kilowatt is generally not easily available. What you're realistically going to get more often is 60 to 120 now, but definitely a cool option to have. And when you have the kind of real world range of between 500 to 550 kilometers, realistically you can charge once in a week, or if you have a home charger, just plug it in every night like you would with your cell phone. So this is the kind of space that Nabil at 5'7", right? Yeah. 5'7" has behind himself, so that's little over a fist worth of knee room at the back. You also have a little module over here. Basically, you can fit in some kind of tablet holder or something back there, something that we have seen even in some luxury cars like the BMW X7. And to accompany this, you also have Type-C chargers that have been integrated towards the side. So that's definitely a very thoughtful touch. You can get a look at the rear AC vent. So you just have this toggle switch to open it up, but the swivel function sideways, how to change the direction, yeah, that flexibility is a little bit limited on that front. You also have a rear armrest, of course. And this is the kind of headroom you can expect for someone who is 5'7". So the comfort zone is going to be again for 4 people up to about 6 feet tall. But even though this does have a coupe SUV design, practically speaking, it is reasonably usable for a family. Although I do see that this particular car is going to be probably more popular among smaller families, somebody, you know, the dad and mom with a small kid possibly at home, because this is more of a personality extension than anything else with the kind of design and feature packages that you're getting in this car. So of course, more details about the B6E will be following soon, especially once we get the drive impressions in place. Right now, we are not getting a full idea of the price range, but the base model, the level 1 pack, or the, yeah, level 1 pack, that is roughly going to fall around 20.5 lakh rupees on road in that territory in Chennai or Delhi. So call it between 20.5 to 21 lakh on road for a car that's going to have LED lighting, that's going to have dual touchscreens on the inside, dual screen or dual cockpit display rather, with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, LED headlights, 18-inch steel wheels with covers that look kind of like all alloys. You do have AC, auto climate control with rear AC vents, 6-speaker sound system, and the safety suite is also quite thorough on the car in general, not specific to the base variant in this context. Auto headlamps, auto wipers, tilt and telescopic adjustment for the steering, 7 airbags, front and rear parking sensors, and of course the full ADAS suite. So that's everything that we can tell you right now about the B6E. As we said before, great warranty packaging, definitely interesting design, and it is going to probably hit showrooms and be ready for delivery sometime between January to March 2025. And strong chance that you're going to be seeing these cars in person at the Bharat Mobility Show. So join us when you're there.